Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our demo day with our student from Data Analytics, January, March. It has been 10 weeks for me, 10 flies, so it passed so fast. I hope you ladies enjoyed it a lot, learned a lot, and take the advantage of this knowledge from Giovanna, from Idoia, and all the experience with your classmates that will help you, I'm pretty sure, in all your career path in your future. So yeah, I'm super excited to see all the projects, to learn about it, all the topics that you work on. And I'm just want to introduce Giovanna, your teacher for these 8 weeks with Idoia that took the 2 weeks of the beginning of the course. And thank you, Giovanna, for this journey with these amazing ladies.
No problem, and thanks to Idoia for introducing Python and Pandas to them in such a great way, so that when they started working with me, they were already super proficient, and we could just accelerate further their knowledge and development. But joking aside, I really had a lot of fun this 7 weeks, and I could not be more proud of what you've achieved and how much work you've put into this. I mean, it was incredible. I feel honored to teach you. It was an ease, honestly, working with such a group. You were so interactive, participating so much, working so hard, doing all the homeworks. And I really think your work, because I already saw it, really speaks to that. And your presentations are amazing. And I'm so happy that you get to share it with the rest of the people. So, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I love these 7 weeks. Were an absolute pleasure. So, I don't know if Idoia wants to say something.
Well, I'm super excited to see your the outcome, because I was teaching you at the very beginning, and well, I agree 100% with Giovanna that you are really cool, really collaborative, and so on, really hard workers, and so on. And I'm super excited to see your growth in data analytics, I would say, because I left you as a baby, so as a data analytics baby. So I'm super excited to see your growth and your final projects and so on. And it was a pleasure also for me to teach you and to know you, all of you, and to motivate you and have this kind of good atmosphere. And well, that's all. But basically, I can't wait to see you.
Cool, awesome. Then let's start with the presentations. The first one up is Florencia, who will open this session. Take it away, Florencia.
Okay. Wish me luck.
Didn't it?
Yeah, she does not.
I hope. So can you see my screen? Well.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about an analysis I made based on Google Play Store apps, a data set that I found in Kaggle. So let me introduce myself first. This is me. Hi, I'm Florencia. I'm from Argentina. I have been living here in Spain for a year now. I work for a gambling company in Gibraltar. I have a bachelor's degree in economics, and I have been working with data for almost 10 years now. And yeah, well, that's all. And you might already assume this, but I'm a student of this data analytics course. So let's talk about the dataset. The dataset has 10,800 and something record, and the 13 features you are looking at here. And just keep in mind that the last update that this dataset had was on 2019. So keep that in mind, please. And the dataset can be downloaded from Kaggle. So what is the Google Play Store? The Google Play Store is a distribution platform to build a global audience that has more than 1 billion active users, and it's present in 190 countries. And here you can find more than 1 million apps and games. That's way too much, right? And these apps and games not only are developed by Google, but most of them are content from third-party partners and as well from Google, of course. I already said that. And who can be a third-party partner? Well, anyone that wants to build an app and want to launch it here. And all the content here is the layout, the listing, and the ordering of the content in the Google Play are influenced by popularity, quality, and relevance of the content. So if we're let's say that we want to launch an app on Google Play Store. Before doing this, we really need, and it's vital, to invest time to do proper research to find like a good niche in this marketplace. So what I try to do is to do this research and see what we can find here. So I will take Instagram as an example, and I apologize because my Google Play Store is in Spanish. But have you ever noticed that apps have categories and they show the average rating from users, and you can see how many downloads they have, right? So the question I'm going to try to answer here is, what could influence the popularity of an app? Are free apps more likely to be downloaded than paid apps? Which are the most installed categories? Sorry, I advanced. And does the price and the size of an app actually influence the rating and the installs? So the first question was about free apps and paid apps. So let's take a look at this. Free apps have the first main characteristic, of course, is that they are free to download. But you may think, how do they make the money? And the main source of free apps are advertisement, like you are playing something and then an advertisement pop up, and that's how apps make money here. And these apps are often created by companies that have other products, and they use this as a tool for customer retention and communication and customer service. So let's talk about paid apps. Well, the spoiler alert here is you have to pay for download it and use it. And I don't like that particularly, because you cannot get a feel for it before you buy it. You cannot feel the app. You cannot see what you are going to buy, and you cannot test it. So let's see the share of apps we have in the Google Play Store. And less than 8% of the apps that we have here are paid. So that's really low. And I have a question for you. Do you know how many installs, how many downloads we have in Google Play Store? And this is the number, and I cannot even read that number. It's way too big. So taking this in mind, I try to see, okay, what percentage of these installs are for free apps? And it's 99.92%, and that's almost everything. So paid apps here are like, nobody likes it. That's my first hint. I don't like to pay for something that I don't know. And just to put numbers on this, average install for a free apps is 8 million and something. And for paid apps, it's only 75,000, which is, if we compare them, is really low, right? But just another thing, it's that the paid apps gets an average rating a little bit higher than free apps. So keep that in mind also. So let's explore the categories. How many categories do we have in the App Store? We have 33 categories, and the categories that have more apps in it are family, games, and then followed by tool, business, and medical. But are these categories also the more popular ones? The answer is no. The most popular categories are communication, video players, social, entertainment, and photography, and so on. So this may show that actually users don't tend to download the categories that had more app, but the ones that are more interesting. So if you think about it, I don't know if you know what is in communication category, but I'm going to show, and this is going to be fast, and you will see a lot of icons that you will recognize from your phone, right? You know, all of these, they are on your phone. And what we can see here is too much Facebook, too much Google. And the question here is, can you even compete with those or not? It's super hard, right? And another note on this, all the Google apps you have here, that the one that Google built, they are kind of mandatory for your phone to work properly. So it's kind of hard to get an insight from this. So what I tried to do is try to find a suitable category. And this was so hard for me, because I tried to make an algorithm. I tried to find a rule to choose, and I'm not going to go deep in this because I have an amount of time to speak. But I make a rule that let me know which categories were suitable for me to pick. So this is the outcome. These are the categories that I should pick if I want to launch an app. But when I start to see what I have here, it was totally random. Like in lifestyle, which is a huge category, you have from alarm clocks, horoscope, you have the Zara store, and also you have Tinder there, which make no sense because there is a dating category and it's not there. And there were other categories that were really, really like segmented, let's say. In food and drink, you only have restaurant apps. So it was hard. And I couldn't actually get a super cool insight for this. So I start to look at the other questions I have. Does the size influence the popularity? And by popularity in this case, is number of installs. And apparently, yes. If you check the part that is highlighted with the green, you will see that you have higher concentration of apps there. And you may ask yourself, why do you have these lines all across the plot? And that is because Google, after a certain amount of installs, they stop actually putting the real number there. They start saying more than 500,000 million apps or whatever. So let's move to the next one. Yes, so the insight from here, sorry, I didn't say the insight. It might seem that the size actually influenced the popularity. And my suggestion, if you are making an app, make it light. Make it less than 50 megas, make it less than 10 megas. It should be lighter. So the next question is, does the price influence the popularity? And you will see this plot and say, what the hell is that? Because you can't actually see anything. But we already say this, that free apps are more popular than paid apps. And this is just to reinforce that. And if you want to charge for using your app, just make it cheap, make it less than $10, make it $5, $6, whatever. And also here you will see the dots, and it's because there you have a lot of apps, just to clarify that. And then the last thing that I was asking myself is, does the size influence rating? And rating, I already said this, but it's super important because it's a measure of success of your app. So when you're going to launch this, you will have to think about this, but it will be exposed after you launch or maybe when you're doing the content of the app. So what can we see here is that the size actually doesn't influence the rating that much, even if we have more concentration in this blue circle I made. If you look at the majority of the app, no matter what, no matter the size, it's in the same range of rating. It's between 4 and 4.5, which is a totally acceptable rating on Google Apps. And then the last question is, does the price influence rating? And here is the same as the other one. It actually doesn't affect that much. And even paid apps get good ratings. So I think that's all. And if you're trying to make an app and launch it on Google Play Store, make sure it's free, it's light-sized, and the category will be up to you. Thank you. Any questions or whatever you want to tell me?
Wow, amazing. Sorry my ignorance, but it happened the same with App Store?
That's what I wanted to ask as well.
I don't have the data set, but Apple has another type of audience, yes, let's say, right? Because I don't have an Apple phone. I don't have an iPhone. I have a Android, let's say, from my whole life. And I know the bigger app, like we all have WhatsApp, we all have Facebook. That will be there. But the Google apps, maybe not that much because you don't need them in Apple, let's say.
Yeah, but
let's stop sharing, sorry.
We use it because, for example, I prefer Google Maps than Maps for apps.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have an Android phone, you are forced to download that. Like the keyboard, you have to download it because you cannot write without the keyboard. And they put that as, oh, this has so many downloads, but you're forcing me to download that.
Absolutely.
It's like, come on.
Got it. Thank you.
Also, but also in iPhone, you have also the same, You have also Safari and this kind of things.
Probably.
So, but maybe it's not as popular, no? I would say maybe 80% of the population is using Android and 20% iPhone. I don't know. I'm just making up these numbers there. Cool. I have one question. Congratulations on the presentation. It was super nice to see that, because I didn't expect the free. I mean, I was expecting that maybe the free ones were the ones most downloaded and so on, but not in that super like extreme way. You know what I mean? That you don't have there are not so many paid apps, and I don't know. I didn't expect that. I thought it was kind of more balanced.
Because actually, Google has a scheme of. They have like different categories to make money with free apps. So you have the freemium category, which you pay for a subscription and all that stuff. But the download of the app is totally free. But there are apps that you have to pay to download it. And and actually this data set, I want to say this, sorry. But there were apps that cost, and I show the girls, $399. And they have downloaded, and you say, this cannot be true. I mean, maybe it's a test. I don't know, but it has like 10,000 downloads. And
wow,
really, is somebody paying for this? And the app was called I'm Rich, and I'm sure you're rich if you're downloading that. I don't know.
One question: how many apps were present in the dataset? Just approximately.
The dataset started with 10,000 and something, but after cleaning up, it ended up like being 9,000. I mean, we have a million, and this is the sample I could get. I couldn't get more than that. And
absolutely.
Yeah, but I think it's a good sample and very representative of the universe of Google.
Absolutely. No, because I want as well. And another question, because you told us at the very beginning that the data set was like the last time in which everything was scrapped was on 2019. Why? I'm curious.
That was the last scrapping that the data set have, and I wanted to tell you that because there are apps like Dab Smash that they doesn't exist anymore, I think.
Yeah.
So just to keep that in mind, I'm looking at the apps in that period, not the apps here, but absolutely. I mean, the most downloaded apps are the same. I assume we all still have WhatsApp and still have Facebook. So.
No, because I'm curious, because maybe during the lockdown and so on, so last year and so on, for sure that the total number of apps that were released on that period were like increased. Also the download ones, because I was even downloading TikTok, you know what I mean? And TikTok is for teenagers.
I download TikTok.
You know what I mean?
I already
So I think that it will be super cool as a next step to try to analyze this or repeat the same analysis, let's say, but with 2020, because for sure that the insights will be slightly different.
Yeah, for sure. But the categories, I think they will remain the same.
Could be, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's all from my side. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Whatever you want to ask me? Cool. So go back to Daniela.
Thank you, Florencia. Amazing presentation. Congratulations. So next one is going to be Raquel.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Perfect. So yeah, let me talk about that research that we have done with Greenpeace volunteers. But first of all, yeah, I'm Raquel. I work for Greenpeace International, and I have been an activist and working with volunteers and volunteering myself for the last 12 years. So the research objective of this analysis is basically understanding who are our volunteers, so who are holding the banners of the organization in the streets, in order to improve our offline strategies to, at the end of the day, create a bigger impact in the world. That is what Greenpeace tries to do day by day. The content for today, I want to talk a bit about the data collection, because we create the survey and collect the data since the beginning. After that, I want to talk about the volunteer profile, who they are, and maybe some differences among countries. Also the volunteer behavior, so not just about who they are, but also how they behave with Greenpeace and what is their journey with us, and also some conclusions on how we really can improve our offline strategies. So in terms of the data collection, we designed a survey together with quite a lot of people in the organization, in Greenpeace around the world. And we also try to put some questions that are compatible with other surveys that we are running, like global polling, that is a market research that we are conducting after 3 years, diversity inclusion, and all of these things. We try to do the questions in a manner that we are avoiding bias in the answers, and also we are trying to we did the analysis really anonymous using Lime survey and using the European data protection law, even if the countries we are making this research, as you will see, are not all European. As I said, 5 countries: Spain, Mexico, Colombia, Chile, and Argentina. We have 369 full answers, and you can see the percentage of every country there. There is a bit of imbalance with Mexico, so just take that in account when we read the data, because we got a lot of answers from Mexico. Also makes sense because the population there is big, and also the size of the volunteering there is quite big. And also another thing to take in account is that a lot of questions, the people could select different answers. So maybe in the summatory of some of the charts, you will see that there are more than 369. This is the reason, because they could select several. So in terms of the volunteer profile, so who they are, right? Gender, quite clear, woman, a lot of women in our database, in our volunteering. Of course, some of males and other gender identities that people identify with. Ethnicity, as I said, Spain, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, and Mexico, the identity that people identify with is Hispanic, Latino, or Hispanic origin. Where the people volunteers live, we ask if they are living in the capital or in the rural area. So we can see that 80% of the people are living in cities, together with 15% almost 15% of the people that are living in urban areas, villages near to the city, and just 4% of the people are really living in rural areas. And if we see the difference among countries, we can see here the data, and it's quite representative that Argentina and Colombia, for example, has any volunteer living in rural areas. This makes sense. Our organization has office and presence mainly in the capitals of the countries, and Argentina and Colombia, mainly Colombia, are quite new offices for Greenpeace, so it makes sense that the volunteers are related with the city. In terms of the volunteer age distribution, we can see here per country, and Spain, for example, is moving from 20 years old to almost 80 years old. So the variety of age in the volunteering is quite big and quite impressive. And also here it's quite interesting to see that the Mexico, for example, most of the volunteers are under 30 years old. Anyway, the global mean for the age is 30 years old. Together with the age, I was thinking, okay, how that reflects also in the time that they are volunteering with Greenpeace, right? Because this might be interesting. We are measuring that in months because, 1 year is already a lot. And as you can see the data, for example, for Mexico, most of the people are volunteering less than 1 year with us. And with Spain, for example, again, the variety is a lot. We have people from 3 months to 20 years old, right, or 22 years volunteering with us. So, the variety is really high. The study level, we asked them what is the complete study level that they have, and we can see that university degree is the most selected, but also secondary school as finished degree. Here might be a bias, as we said. The volunteer is really young, and so some people maybe are 20, 21 years old, and the question was, what is the level that you already finished? So might happen that some people are studying the university degree. The income level, we can see that the low level, the currency has been really difficult to put, so I cannot say you which is the currency they select, because we adapt for the 5 different currencies. But after that, we make range, and we divide in that 4 low, high, upper, and medium level. And this is the result. Most of them are in low level. Again, might be related with the study situation. So who they are, right? In terms of the volunteer, we see that our volunteer in global, in general, kind of a generalization is a woman living in a big city, 30 years old, volunteering with us less than half a year, Hispanic or Latino or Hispanic origin, and medium high level of study. So someone like that woman might be the people holding our banners. And after that, we went to behavior and mindset, right? So how they behave with Greenpeace and what they are feeling with us when they are volunteering. So we asked them why they decide to join the volunteer teams. And the top reason was because they saw Greenpeace covered in the media, in the press, in the mass media, followed by social media. This has been quite for me, a bit surprising, because I thought that in 2021 social media will be most selected. But yeah, it was surprising. And also another thing that we already knew for other research that we did in the past is that people are not coming to the organization because they have a friend or family member. They are really coming kind of alone, right? They really select Greenpeace to volunteer with us. So this is something that surprised us in the past. Reasons to become volunteer. This one is super nice for us because, as you see, half of the people, or 50% of the people that answer the survey, decide to join Greenpeace because their values are the same as Greenpeace, or because they think Greenpeace is efficient in order to save the planet. This really attached to our purpose as an organization and how we behave. And this is super important for us because they are coming because they really feel that Greenpeace might make an impact, and that generates an impact in our portfolio and our programs. We asked them how they feel about their experience of Greenpeace, and as you can see, most of them rated that as good or really good. Just around 10% or a bit more select bad or regular or neutral. Of course, this is kind of normal. It's surprising that the people that are experiencing bad or regulars actually fill the survey, right? Because this is a volunteer survey. So it might be interesting to know what is their experience and how we can improve to make them feeling better. And also we asked them about the diversity, so how they feel that Greenpeace is promoting integrity, diversity, and equity. This is something that for us is really important. We have been, quite a European Northern organization, and we are trying to really open our doors and be a bit more diverse. And yeah, again, here most of them say that they are quite agree and strongly agree on how we are doing integrity, diversity, and equity, even though there are some people marking strongly disagree. And for us, this is super important to know, because if someone is thinking that we are not diverse or our integrity is not enough, we really need to take care of that. Emotions. So we asked them about the emotions that they are feeling after doing an offline activity with us. And we use that wheel. This is the Geneva Emotions Wheel. Is research that the University of Geneva is doing and conducting about emotions. And I'm not going to present that, but I just want you to focus on the joy and interest. Because as you can see, joy is an emotion that is related with high control and a pleasant emotion, right? So it's something good. And it's something that normally when you feel joy or you say that you are feeling joy is because you have the control of the issue. And the same with the interest is a good emotion, but it's low control, okay? Because when we were asking them about that, we asked two questions. What you felt after an offline activity before COVID and after COVID, right? And it's quite interesting to see that before COVID, they select, a lot of them, 150 people, so 50% of the database select joy. And after COVID, just around 20% select joy. And with the interest, we can see that before COVID, 50 people select interest. And after COVID, more than 100 select interest. As you remember, as I was presenting before, interest is related with low control. So that might make sense, right? In the COVID, the uncertainty context is really, really high, and they feel interest for the activity they are doing, but that relates with the loss of control in terms of the society, and the joy, again, right? The joy is really something really that you are really feeling good, and with the COVID might change. Pyramid of engagement, this is an internal metric we used to use. In volunteering, we understand that just the contributors, ownings, and leaders, so the top pyramid are volunteers. And here we can see the difference among countries, how we divide the people that are contributing with us in these 3 levels of engagement, so how engaged they are. And it's really, if we see Mexico, if you remember, Mexico has a really young people and also people that are volunteering with us less time, and makes sense that they have the biggest chunk of contributors, as contributors normally are the first ones that are coming to the volunteer time. I try to see if there is any relation between the question on how you think you are going to participate with Greenpeace in the next 2 years and the experience on volunteering. So in the x-axis, you can see 3 columns, is 1, 2, and 3. 1 is I'm going to participate less with Greenpeace. The 2 is I'm going to participate equally with Greenpeace, and 3 is I'm going to participate more with Greenpeace. And in the y-axis, you can see the experience. 0 is really bad experience, and 5 is really good experience. So we can see a relation in the future participation and also in the experience of volunteering and the frequency, right? So how much people are seeing that. This is the same metric, more or less, just dividing with the pyramid of engagement, as we see. And here you can see that, of course, in the upper levels, we have more people leading and owning that are the upper level of engagement. And as a conclusion, just to say that in general, we have a young volunteer with low income that that they are really connected with our values and that they feel proud of being part of Greenpeace. And we probably need to improve our retention strategies, create activities for short-term volunteers and to keep them motivated. And also in some countries, probably we need to diversify the age range of the volunteer network. Thank you very much. And also I want to appreciate the volunteers that are working with us for free day by day. They are more than 50,000 people around the world. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah. Just answer my question at the end. My question was, are you going to take any action from this? And yeah, there you go. Awesome.
Yes, I think it's a really good example on how you can use data to take some data-driven decisions. So it's a really beautiful example that you did it with the formula and questionnaire and so on. And a really beautiful example on how you can use data with plots, blah, 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 in order to plan a strategy later on for your own company. So it's a really beautiful example. Congrats. I really loved the presentation. I have just a couple of questions. How many questions did it have, the questionnaire?
34.
All of them were kind of closed, because I know that when dealing with humans, well, human answers, you have to clean a lot and blah, 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 and so on. Yeah, all of them were kind of closed.
Was a bit complex. Most of them were closed, but most of them has several options in terms of selection that make quite a lot of complex, the analysis. And also a lot of them has another option like other, right? And people can add their thing. The good thing on the survey is that all of them were mandatory. So all the data we received were complete. Just the race one was not mandatory due to the legal situation. We cannot, you cannot ask mandatory the race of or the ethnicity of the people.
Yes, yes.
So, but yeah, was a bit of nightmare. Just three questions were totally open, and we didn't analyze that. I didn't analyze that.
Because you didn't have time, no?
I couldn't. It's reading a lot of different things. There.
Reading a lot of information, and when dealing with personal opinions and so on, it requires a lot of time, I would say. But exactly. Yes, super nice. So one thing that I was just for curiosity, okay? So in the slide, there was one of the insights that you got is in function of the different education levels, but there was one category that it was higher education. Which is the difference between higher education or bachelor degree or PhD, for instance? Just for curiosity.
Yeah, no, it's because again here we adapt the levels of study for the different countries, and in Argentina and in Mexico there is after secondary, but it's not a degree. It's kind of our professional
FP, ¿no?
FP.
Vale,
Like something like that.
Vale,
So
okay.
it's higher than secondary, but it's not a university degree.
Okay, because I didn't understand, no? At least in my... Vale, okay. And that's all. Congratulations, I really like it. So congratulations, and it's a really good example of like how you can like use your skills with like data coming from your company, let's say, in order to like, take some decisions and so on. It's a really beautiful example. Yes.
Congrats. Yeah, we are going to do the same survey for the rest of the countries.
Claro.
So we can have, first of all, a global volunteer profile, because this is really biased in terms of Latin community, right? And secondly, also being able to benchmark, right, among countries, and also depending on the program and how long are we operating in the field.
Did you already have shown, let's say, the results to your like supervisor or whatever?
Yeah, I saw yesterday. My line manager. Yeah, she liked it. Yeah, let's see.
Cool. Vale, thanks. Very nice.
Thank you. So over to you, Daniela, then, if there are no more questions.
Anyone has a question for Raquel? No. Okay, thank you, Raquel. Amazing. Okay, so next one, Isabel. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Isabel. I'm revenue manager in the hotel industry. I'm passionate about data, and also I like movies, especially the sagas. Here, these are some of my favorite ones. I think I watched these movies more than 10 times each one. I'm wondering if you know what these films have in common. Well, I can tell you. First, as you can see, these films are in the top of the most viewed movies in cinema. Second thing that they have in common is that you will find just one woman character in each film. In Star Wars, for example, we can find a powerful female character, Princess Leia, but seems to be the only one in the galaxy and needs to be rescued also. In Aladdin, of course, we have Princess Jasmine, but no more female character in the kingdom. She's the only one and was turned into a slave. And Indiana Jones, well, here in Indiana Jones films, you always will find a pretty woman running with high heel shoes, looking for being rescued. Maybe you think that these films are pretty old for you, but well, we can find more current examples. Here in these films, you will find only just one woman, and the woman even is not the main character, it's a secondary one. And we can continue checking one by one. Well, wait, I prefer to go into the data. And also I would like to introduce to someone. She is Alison Betzel. Alison is an American cartoonist which became known in 1985 after publishing a comic strip, this one. It's called The Rule, and she painted herself with a friend, Liz Wallace, talking about films. They discuss seeing a film and see if they go or no, and she explained to her friend that she only goes to a movie if it satisfies 3 basic requirements. First, she does not watch a movie if there is only one woman. The movie has to have at least 2 women on it, and they have to talk to each other about something other than a man. The test is simple. It set the lowest bar to the meaningful female representation, a 0, and 3 points if the movie passed the test. This test has been a very popular method since 1985 to assess the gender representation bias in movies, and also to call attention to the gender inequality, not only in movies. We can apply this test to TV shows, series, games, etc. So today we are going to analyze movies. We will see how many movies has passed the test or not, the historical evolution, what kind of film passed the test, and if the presence of women has any impact in the budget or in the profits. For do so, I scraped the data from 3 different websites. The first one, thebechdelltest.com, is a website, user-edited one. You have a database of more than 8,000 films classified by whether they pass the test or not, with an add requirement that the women must be a named character. The second website, imdb.com, is well known as one of the best pages to review movie features. And number.com, here we can find all the data related to budget and incomes. With this, we have our data set with more than 8,000 movies, the feature, budget, revenue, and for the last 140 years. And we can start analyzing the data. First, we can see the percentage distribution of films in relation to whether they pass the test or not. As we can see, 57% of the movies in our data set pass the test. That means that 42% did not pass it for different reasons. This 10%, for example, did not pass the test because you will find only one woman or even no woman in the film. Or these 22% of the movies did not pass the test neither, because despite that you can find two women characters, if they talk to each other, it's sabotage. Of course, here we have all the data from all the years. Let's analyze more in detail. Here in this graph, we have the movies distribution by decade. We can see that before the 90s, women have no representation in movies. Almost all the movies have male character or just one woman. The situation has been changing through the years until the 60s, where you can see that 50% of the movie analysis have a woman representation. At this point, you may think that it was pretty normal to don't show women in films before the 70s. Well, the truth is that nowadays, this situation didn't change too much. In the last decade, we can find that 40% of the movies don't pass the test neither. We don't have a proper woman representation on the films. Also, we have to take in account that the number of movies analyzed is not the same for each year. Our data set is not equal distributed to the year, and we have a less skewed distribution. We have more actual films in the recent year than in the past, less old movies. This is important to take in account for the next plot. Here in this one, we can see the mean rating through the years. As we already know, more movies are passing the Bechdel test than before. But recall that the level has almost flatlined, as we can see here in the over last 20 years. We did not improve too much in regarding the mean rate. Also, I analyzed the movies distribution by genre, looking for any pattern in relation with the women representation. Here we can see the green points are the movies that already passed the test, and this one that failed the test. The size is bigger regarding the frequency. As we can see, the movies that passed the test are the drama ones, the comedy, and of course, romance. On the other hand, women are less represented in action movies, for example, adventure or crime. At that point, I guess it's not a surprise to anyone. Also, we can dive into the movie's plot, analyzing the description by word. Here are the most frequent words for those films that fail the test. As big as the word, it's more frequent to find this word in the description of the film. Films that fail the test are all about a man, as we can see in a word, to find something in a war, or must to help the group, the woman. Well, we can find another interesting things that secret, police, battle, island, or escape. Well, I think it sounds pretty exciting for a film. On the other hand, these are the words that for the movies that pass the test. Here we have a woman who has a life with family, girls, and must to find something about love, man, in the school group. And we have more smaller words as mother, daughter, father, couple, friends, the whole family. Well, I think it's pretty clear the difference that we can find here. We can move on. Now that we know more about the movies that pass the test or not, we can analyze the budget. Here we have the mean budget through the years. First, we can see that the budget has been growing through the years, through the decades, significantly. First, because of the inflation. It's not the same a budget for the 30s that nowadays. But also we can see that they have been growing, but different not in the same way, different way. At the beginning, films that passed the test or failed had less than 5 million euros dollars budget, sorry. And now we can see that the difference is increasing through the years until now. In the last decade, we can see a difference of almost 30% variation between the budget that the movies that pass the test and not. So we can say that films with active women representation have less budget. Here we can see the median ROI. Well, as we know, Hollywood is a film industry. As in any industry, the goal is to make money. So we can assume that the movies that did not pass the test, which are full of action and adventures, have bigger budgets and expect higher incomes, and also will have the highest ROI. But no, as we can see here in the graph, movie that pass the test has the higher ROI, following by the movies that only women talk about men and don't talk to each other and don't have any men, which is the less ROI. Also, finally, I asked myself, if the movie that did not pass the test have more budget, but not the best ROI, maybe it's because they are looking for a better critique or more awards, but no, it's not the situation. In our data set, the percentage of movies that win any award are almost the same. Doesn't matter if the film has passed the test or not, if it has a woman representation or not. It's almost the same, 65 versus 67. So now we can finally we get our conclusions for our data set. The first one is that, as we saw, 30% of the movies don't have a woman representation. These movies have 30% more budget than the others, but the budget or the representation is not a guarantee for a best ROI or for more awards. Also, as a conclusion, I would like to say that it's not hard to imagine that movies passing the Bechdel test are probably doing better job reflecting the society, where the half of the planet is comprised of women who have fulfilling conversation about themes other than a man. Plots, I think, need to advance after all. The Bechdel test is not perfect. We can find more options. But in the future, I think we must iron out the edge and create a more comprehensive approach to combat this misrepresentation. Betcher once said that we must represent women as a subject, not an object. And well, that's all. Thank you. I don't know if you have any question.
Super nice.
Thanks.
Go for it, Idoia.
I'm all good question. Yes, well, congratulations. It was super interesting. I have a couple, super interesting and really well presented. I mean, the storytelling was also really catchy. I was all the time like, wow. So congrats on the presentation. Super nice. I have some questions. The total number of movies that you have in the end, because you were scraping different data from different sources. So the total number of movies that were like linked with the 3 different sources, which was just for curiosity.
I have the feature for almost the 8,890 something movies. Nice. But regarding the incomes, the budget, and because I had the budget, the revenue per office, national, international, I have a lot of details that I have to put all together to take the final revenue number. Is almost the half. Is like 4,000 something movies.
Okay, yeah. And how did you manage to scrap it? Because, well, as far as I know, it's not something that it's like included in the course. So it's something that is like an extra. So you like force the brain and the neurons.
The first one, Bechdel test, has a JSON file that you can download, cool. And the other one have a API, so you can work with it.
Vale, congratulations on that, because it was not part of the course, so congratulations on that, because sometimes it's not that easy to scrap data from different sources, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and she did it herself, like I didn't even know. I knew that she scraped the data herself when she was presenting, right?
Wow, super cool. Super cool.
awesome.
Congratulations on that achievement. And also,
Thanks.
regarding the workloads, how did you do the workloads? With the title or with the description, or just for curiosity?
With the full description of the movie,
Okay, nice.
like a man
Very
saving
nice.
the world, looking for
Very nice.
blah, 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 blah. So you put the stop words and
Pretty cool.
you find it. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I wanted to put in a shape, but was
Mask.
complicated in a mask.
Well, next time, maybe you can contact me and we can have a look at it. And I can
Yeah.
give you No, and just the last thing. Aladdin and Star Wars and Indiana Jones, which were your like top 3 movies, are they passing the Bell-check test or not?
No.
No!
No, you only have one and one woman, and
Yes.
yeah, no. But well, half of the movies, I mean.
Yes, not that surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks. Congratulations on that. Really, really nice too.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing work, Isabel. Super smooth presentation.
Yes.
Like I said, amazing. Thank you. I don't know if there is more question. Clear enough.
Okay, next. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. So next one is gonna be Roxy.
Thank you, Daniela. And great presentation, Isabel. It's going to take me around 10 to 15 seconds to pull up my slides. So if anyone needs to get some water, cup of tea, feel free to do so. So let me put it on the screen now. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, welcome to my presentation. My name is Roxy. I am based in London. In the day, I am the strategy director for H&M Global. I work at an advertising agency called Zenith. By night, I guess by now, I am a coder, a Python coder, I like to call myself. And I am also a proud immigrant from Vietnam, and I spent 6 years before I moved to London, living in New York as well. So today's presentation is going to be about a topic that is very close to my heart and my former home in New York.
Can you click present, Roxy?
Oh, sorry. So you can see my presenter note, or?
No, but it was.
No, but we just couldn't see it as in a presentation mode. We could see just the window.
Okay, sorry, 1 second. Okay, everything works fine. Cool, yes. Awesome. So enough about myself. So today, like I said, going to present a topic that's very close to my heart. So, I want to use the power of data to shine the light on important social issues. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we've lost millions of lives. We experienced so many economical, social, personal challenges, from employment to mental health issues to isolation, or simply just a separation to our families and our most loved ones. It is quite strange that no matter where we are in the world, we're basically going through the exact same thing. But unfortunately, the COVID-19 impact does not happen to us all equally. So you guys are probably already familiar with these headlines. In May 2020, we witnessed the horror of the shooting of George Floyd, and that's where a lot of press attention and media attention for the Black Lives Matter movement. Since March 2020, there has been a 1,900% increase in crime against Asian American and Pacific Islanders. The former president of the United States called COVID-19 the Chinese virus unapologetically. Black people are much more likely to die from COVID than other racial demographics, and so many more headlines and stories. Social injustice, racism, and economic disparity, these topics are not new. They are systematic issues that have been existing since the beginning of time, but the corona pandemic is the ultimate demonstration of how much this can cost life. So for today, I'm going to dive deeper into this issue using the data sets available on the New York Police Department official website. It is including 2 different data sets. One is the hate crime arrest data, and one is the total complaints for different type of hate crimes in between the year of 2017 and the year of 2020. I wanted to dive into the data across multiple countries at the beginning, but unfortunately, hate crime data is not something that is available freely. Is the data usually is very fragmented, or the government doesn't want to be transparent to the public. So the choice was limited. So I decided to focus on the New York data set instead for today. So my hypothesis, as you can already guess, is does the COVID-19 pandemic fuse the rise in hate crimes, violence, and xenophobia against the Asian and Black community? So the methodology I've been using for this data set include a mix of data segmentation, also plotting the data against a time series to notice the trend, and also comparing different data sets to identify the trends before versus after COVID. So let's zoom and jump right into the analysis. As you can already guess, because most of us are spending time indoor, the majority of the hate crimes have actually decreased over time because, there's less people on the street. Most people are staying away from each other. So it is harder for the number of crimes to happen. This doesn't just apply to hate crimes, but all category of crimes. However, when I'm plotting the hate crimes data, especially the racial hate crimes data against the time series, what we can see in here is that there has been a sharp increase at the beginning of the pandemic in the anti-Asian and anti-Black hate crimes category, as you can see here around March 2020 when the COVID-19 outbreak started to happening around the world. So you can see that all the other racial hate crimes category like anti-Hispanic, anti-white have decreased dramatically, really aligning with the rest of the hate crime categories. These two categories, unfortunately, has increased since the beginning of the pandemic. So let's look at this data from a different angle. So like I mentioned, while every other hate crime saw a fall in the number of reported cases, anti-Asian hate crime saw a sharp increase. So let's take a look at every single category in here. While let's start with anti-white hate crime. So anti-white hate crimes have decreased significantly from 97% down to 14 total reported cases. We similarly see a trend in anti-Hispanic where there was 41 cases in total before COVID, but that's sharply decreased to 5 after COVID. Similarly, for the category of anti-Black, before COVID, there was a total of 169 total cases, and it quickly, dramatically decreased down to 60. However, when we look at anti-Asian crimes, the number increased from 39 to 54 total cases. You might be wondering yourself, well, this is over the course of 12 months. There's less than 100 cases on this table, so it's not really a big deal, right? The truth is, we're only just scratching the surface. So I look at additional data coming from a nonprofit source. So there's a nonprofit called Stop Asian American and Pacific Islander Hate. So this nonprofit has been created to support the Asian community living in America who are experiencing hate crime attacks. So everyone has the ability to go on the website and anonymously report the hate crime incidents that have happened to them. So take a look at the graph on your left-hand side. This is a total hate crime reports in 2020 across all different states. So you can notice that New York State is the state with the second highest level of hate crime, a total of 517 cases in total in 2020. So that's actually 7 times higher than what's been reported to the New York Police Department, which means that only 11% of these hate crimes incidents are actually being reported to the police. So you might be thinking the question, why people are not reporting the violences that happening to them? People should feel safe and being able to report and feel protected by the law enforcement, right? The reason why usually victims of hate crime don't usually report it, sadly, is that sometimes they see that the crime not serious enough to report. This can be because a lot of the people of color growing up experience hate crime so regularly that they felt like this was an inevitable part of their life, and they have come to an acceptance that this is the way life is. Even more unfortunately, some of them blame themselves for the situation. They feel ashamed that this is their fault, so they don't want to report it. On the other hand, another key reason is based on the experience that people of color have had with the police. So I'm sure you guys have seen a lot in the news. There has been a lot of tension between police brutality and people just practicing their democracy right. So a lot of people don't report because they are already been put up by previous negative experiences with the police, or they think that the police wouldn't be able to do anything. It could be due to lack of evidence, or already the system favor certain races and profiles within the society. So that's why people don't trust the police enough to go and report. So for the second half of the presentation, I'm zooming into more the arrest data set to analyze this learning. So let's take a look at the arrest data to color the picture of police enforcement. On this chart, this is a different data set. So this is basically the number of hate crime arrests. So the defendants in these cases have already been arrested. We're looking at the same time series between 2017 and 2021. So what can you see in here is that the anti-Asian hate crimes arrests also follow the same trends as the number of cases reported in the earlier chart when we talk about the total hate crime incidents. It makes sense, right? If there's more incidents, there should be more arrests. However, interestingly, if you're looking at the anti-Black hate crime arrests, it is seeing a sharp increase, almost to non-existent, only one incident. Why does anti-Black crimes don't see the same trends, even though the volume also increases the same trend as anti-Asian? Let's zoom into it. So in here, we're comparing the before COVID and after COVID arrest data, and the data is being broken down into the different category. What I've done is I've calculated the percentage of people have been arrested, which is in the orange bar chart, out of the total hate crime being reported, which is the purple bar charts. So looking at the percentage in here, you can see that pretty much most of the categories have a similar percentage. So between anti-Asian, anti-Hispanic, and anti-white crime category, the percentage of people being arrested is ranging between 30% and 33%. So quite equivalent to each other. In here, anti-Black category have the lowest percentage of total cases of the defendants being arrested at 26%, but still the number, the variance is not too high, and they're quite equivalent in terms of number. But if you take a look at the data after COVID happened, so in here I have put the color coding, so green for increasing and red for decreasing. What we've seen is anti-white crimes and anti-Asian crime receive a much higher percentage of arrests, whereas anti-Black and anti-Hispanic seeing a completely different trends. Anti-Hispanic, the arrest rate fall from 31% down to 20%, and anti-Black in particular, the arrest rate fall from 26% down to 13%. So almost twice as lower. So these differences in the rate of arrest between different kind of racial hate crimes kind of painted a dark reality. Pretty much, the anti-Black attackers are the least likely to be arrested, and this data kind of suggests how different hate crimes are being treated differently, and there is still very much a systematic racism, and the law is still very much does not favor Black people. We're looking at the data side by side in terms of different, racial demographic. And in this chart, the picture is even clearer when we analyze the racial demographic of those who have been arrested. So in the previous slide, we were talking about the kind of crimes being enforced. And in this slide, this is the racial profile of the people, the defendants who are currently behind bar. So what we're seeing in here is that Black and white are the two most common racial demographic behind the people who are being arrested. So 53 people in the Black category and 66 people who identify themselves as white are being arrested, whereas the rest of the categories have a much, much lower number of people who are being arrested. So you might be thinking there is an equivalent of Black and white defendants in here who have been arrested. So why is it so problematic? In order for us to analyze this, we need to compare this data to the racial demographic of New York State. So take a look at this chart on the left-hand side. This is the racial demographic of those who have been arrested for hate crime in New York. On the right-hand side, this is the racial demographic of the New York State, from the New York government census side. So what we can see that even though the Black minority make up only 15% of New York State demographic, they are currently responsible for, make up 42% of total of those who have been arrested for hate crime. So almost 3 times more than their makeup within the New York State demographic. And if you're looking at all the other, obviously racial, demographic over here, the number is much, much lower. So why am I presenting this data to you? Because it's very important that we're not just focusing on who are receiving the prejudices and racism on the street, but also those who the system have failed. And these people, they're allowed to feel protected by the police. They're allowed to getting the fair trial as they should deserve in a democracy, but they're not based on this data. And it's a really sad reality that we're still facing, even though it is now 2021. So with all of this data, I do have some final thoughts to leave with you. My data sets contain around 4,000 records, but we're not just looking at statistics and graphs. We're looking at real lives that are being threatened, that are being killed, that are being attacked. And these issues, not just a US issue, this is a global humanity issues that happening all around the world. In the UK, for instance, where I'm living, anti-Asian hate crimes have increased by 300% since COVID started. I don't feel safe walking on the street in late night because of who I am, which is a very sad reality. So what I really want to draw attention to this issue, because I do believe that, all of us as a community, we have the power and the responsibility to take action to protect our community. And so with that thought, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And I hope that, you have some food for thought to take away. If you want to take action, if you want to learn more about the issues, these are the 2 websites that you can visit. And now I would like to open for questions.
Very nice, Roxy.
Amazing. Thank you, Roxy. Here is a question from, give me 1 second. I don't know, somebody raised the hand. Truck? No worries. So amazing presentation, Roxy. Well, it's super sad, but it's the reality. And as you know, it's everywhere, from Asian, Hispanic, and Latins, and it's super sad. Like it's comes like every time with different race, I will say, but it's hard. It's hard for everyone, I will say.
Yes, but it was pretty cool, the analysis that you did, no? To put some numbers on those things that we all have on our minds, or we read something on the news, blah, blah, blah. So it's pretty nice and pretty important, the job or the task or the task that you did. So put everything into numbers and like face this reality with numbers, no? Not with just some headlines or whatever. So I encourage you to write an article on Medium or towards data science. I mean, all of you, But yeah. I encourage you to do that, to like, with all the analysis and all the insights that you got out of this project, which were also all of them sad but really interesting, write an article on Medium and towards data science, because I think that it's moment to spread the word and to show to the rest of the world this reality with numbers. You know what I mean? So congratulations, because it was really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think, if we're just relying on the official police reports, the number would be much, much smaller. So I'm happy that now it's becoming much easier for organizations to set up these anonymous sources, and with the data available, we'll be able to share more knowledge and take action as a community.
Absolutely. So yes, super well done. I don't have questions and so on, because everything was super clear and sad but super clear, and congratulations, because it was amazing. You know what I mean, Roxy? So keep on doing like this, and publish a post or something on towards data science or Medium or whatever platform you think, because I think it's interesting to spread the word.
Thank you.
It was awesome, because one funny thing is that Roxy was very close to giving up on this topic because it was so difficult to find the data to support what she, or to find any data that she could explore this topic on. But in the end, she managed with persistency of persistency through the internet.
There are some topics that are kind of difficult to find data, such as that that one, the link, something linked to woman, these kind of things that it's not interesting for whatever or whoever to show those metrics. You know what I mean? So congrats on that as well, because I know it's you did a really good job there. Okay.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Very good.
Amazing, Roxy. Thank you so much. Okay, so next one is going to be Lynn.
Okay, thank you, Roxy, for a really, really good presentation. I'm really scared to go after you. So are you seeing my full screen right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm going to continue on a topic that is related. I will be exploring COVID-19 data within Gothenburg, Sweden. As Roxy explained, the pandemic has a way to affect people differently, and that applies globally and nationally and even locally. I'm focusing on investigating the data within the city that I live in, which is Gothenburg. And just briefly about me, I work for a public agency, the Swedish Maritime Administration, Department for Search and Rescue Management. And in my work this last year, I've come across a lot of COVID-related information, and I've been reflecting a lot about it because there's been a lot of crisis management efforts, obviously, at my work, and I decided to look into. Well, I'm originally from Stockholm, and last year there was a lot of reporting saying that there's the different parts of Stockholm is being hit very differently, like the different districts in Stockholm, and the poorer neighborhoods and the neighborhoods with more of a foreign demographic is being hit very much harder. So I wanted to look into my current city then and see, well, could we see similar patterns here? So just shortly then about Gothenburg, it's the second largest city in Sweden, but it's not very large compared to other countries. The inner city is divided into 10 districts, which is what I've based my analysis on then to look at these different districts. The population of Gothenburg, excluding the neighboring municipalities, is 580,000 about, but if you're including the neighboring areas, it's about 1 million. Let's see. For this study then, I used official data on confirmed cases of infection per district. Unfortunately, the data on mortality rates are not publicly available on this local level. And I decided to exclude the first weeks of 2020. So my analysis starts at week 15 of last year. And this is because the data was so uncertain still up until week 15. I have then added to this data set some different socioeconomic data, and I have used the most recent year available. So this includes data on income levels per area, percentage of care workers, paid sick days, etc., in order to kind of see, well, is there any kind of a correlation between how many people get infected by COVID or a confirmed case of infection and like these different socioeconomic matrix data. So since there's been a lot of national reports on how certain immigrant communities have been hit very much harder by COVID, I decided to add some of the demographic data as well, what I could find. So first of all, I started with comparing income levels, the average yearly income, with the confirmed cases per 1,000 people in these different 10 areas. And this graph shows then that the darker blue, the darker of a blue you have, the less of an average income that district has, and the more yellow, the higher. So we can already kind of suspect here that this might not be a factor that correlates very heavily with the confirmed cases of infection. So over time, I plotted these two graphs. It's to the left, it's total over time, and to the right, it's new cases per week. And you're kind of seeing them all going in the same pattern, regardless of the district. To the left, you're seeing kind of a spike here. It's over Christmas, and that's not visible in the graph, but this is over Christmas, the yellow spike up there. So that's in one of the more well-off areas. And you're also seeing quite a difference between that and the blue line, which is East Gothenburg, where I live. But generally, you're seeing kind of them moving in the same direction. And so I'm going to have to go to my browser to show the plots because they're way too big to include. And I'm hoping that you can see them. Are you seeing the graphs right now?
Yes.
Yep. Perfect. So just to further visualize this, they're kind of all on the same level, more or less, both when you compare it to per 1,000 inhabitants and in total numbers. You can see this yellow line, this district is kind of sticking out in both categories. Unfortunately, the data that I included in my analysis could not explain this. So obviously, these areas have a difference in populations. Some have less inhabitants than others. So what I did here was I made a bubble chart, and this shows, well, the size of the bubbles, they represent the population density. So the bigger the bubble, here in the center, for instance, the denser the population in that district. And so we're seeing here, I'm sliding, and this is from week 15, 2020, and all the way up until week 9 of this year. And you're kind of seeing, again, they're going in the same direction, kind of moving in the same patterns, this data. Oh, so finally, checking for correlations. The bar to the left represents the correlations between all of these socioeconomic factors described and the total amount of cases, confirmed cases per 1,000 inhabitants. As you're seeing, there is no correlation being shown here between the COVID data and the socioeconomic data. You can however, see some other correlations, such as a quite strong negative correlation between being born outside of Sweden and having an average income, meaning those numbers go in separate or opposite directions. You're also seeing quite a strong correlation between unemployment rate and being born outside of Sweden. So you're seeing some correlations within the socioeconomic data, however, not compared to the COVID data. As a side note, when I was plotting this, I also compared different economic data to each other. This orange line shows the median income in every district for people born outside of Sweden or born to foreign parents. The blue line represents the median income in each district for people born inside of Sweden. So as you can see, I thought this graph really visualizes that there is a significant difference in inequality between those two groups in general. So my conclusions is that I could find no correlations between the confirmed infection rates and any of the socioeconomic factors that I included. I did find some secondary findings on which provided insights on social and economic inequalities between districts within Gothenburg. And access to local data on mortality rates might yield a different result and also, in my opinion, increase transparency. So a final note is that when you're making these analyses about COVID data, you have to be very quick and very creative, because yesterday morning, one of the largest newspapers in Sweden did this exact thing, and this is what they found. So the picture to the right shows actually the mortality data, which they had specifically requested, but that is not publicly available. And you're seeing that there is a slight difference. And you're seeing a higher mortality rate in this district of East Gothenburg and West Gothenburg. But generally, they're not. There isn't a huge inequality. But if you look to the left in Stockholm, like what had been reported earlier, there is quite a significant inequality in how people are affected by this pandemic. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, which was well. Thanks for the presentation. It was also pretty nice and so on, and well, sad too, no, because we're dealing with COVID and so on. But what I have one question, which was like the most difficult part, let's say, when dealing with this project, getting the data, creating the plots, because I saw that some of the plots were really cool, the ones that you showed us in a different browser. So which was like the most difficult part that you saw when dealing with the project, Lynn?
Well, I think the most difficult part was creating those interactive plots and working with the labels, and them failing to include or embed my interactive plots in my presentation because they were probably too big.
Yes, because, well, I know that you created this HTML, but they were really nice, so congratulations, because it was really cool to see the one with the bubbles and so on, no? Moving in function of this frame, no? That it was the different weeks.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you.
And, well, also congratulations, because you're doing a kind of a journalist job, no? Because if this, like, Swedish newspaper managed to publish something, how is it called? Like, yesterday, it's like you are, like, anticipating, you are kind of seeing what's going on, no, on the news. Okay, and well, basically that's my insight. So congratulations, also good job, lady.
Thank you.
Okay.
Amazing, Lynn. So we have two more awesome projects. Next one is going to be Paula.
Okay, so you can see it, right?
Still not.
Today I'm
No.
Yes.
Now? Okay.
Click on the ocultar, please.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
No, okay, great. So today I'm going to talk about the performance of the websites in an active company, which is allWomen, where I work. About me, I'm a sociologist. I like to constantly learn new things. And currently, I'm a data analytics manager in allWomen. There, I'm in charge of the CRM. But today, I'm going to talk to you about more the financial aspect. Let's go step by step. So, allWomen is an ad tech startup with in-house technology. What does that mean? First of all, I'm going to explain you how display ads works. So display is the ads you see when you open a website. How does that work? Well, when a user enters the website, it connects to the published ad server, and the content is so the ad server connects with AdPon. We connect with the advertiser. The requests come back. We come back. You see the ad. So AdPon, what we do is we buy impressions. No, one impression is when you open like the website. That's like a screenshot. That. So we buy that from the publishers. The publishers are the websites, and we sell them to the advertiser. So basically, we are in the intermediary between those two. So the goal of today is to identify and extract the parameters and profile of the websites we work with. For that, I'm going to use a data set from last month, February 2021, with 832 websites. That's all the websites we currently work with. And I'm going to focus in 5 main features: ROI, that the return of the investment; score that is related to the profitability; impressions, that again are the total amount of impressions, that's when you open a website, that we buy from each website; and verticals, that's the category of each website, and well, the countries, so where the traffic comes from. So the 3 numerical variables that I want to see are again score, profitability, ROI, and the impressions we buy from the websites. You can see that there are a lot of values that are concentrated in the 3 category variables. In score and ROI, you have also negative values. That means in that values we are losing money. And we have a lot of extreme values out of outliers that are the most interesting to us because they are when we gain a lot of money. So we're going to go deeper into this. If we see the correlation between these 3 variables with the data set as a whole, we see, again, there's a lot of values close together, and there's extreme values. So we really can see a lot from here. Yes, Europe, if the continent we work worldwide, and Europe is the continent we work the most with 54% of all the websites. And they are also the ones with the continent with the best revenue, because the extremes are from there as well, the extreme values. So if there is a positive correlation between impressions and score of 5.5. In order to see a little bit more about this, what I'm going to do is to divide the data set into 2 main groups. So I'm selecting this value. So from just look at this first part here. From the premium websites are the websites with have the criteria of ROI of 50% or more, and a score of 20 or more. And the low performance websites are the ones we are losing money, and they are basically all the negative values from score and ROI. In both cases, we see here that there's a strong correlation between score and impressions. That makes sense because this is positive and this is negative, but because when we buy more impressions, we have more revenue. If that impressions we can make money with, we have a higher score because we have more profitability. So more impressions, more profitability. With higher impressions with where we lose money, the lower score. I'm moving to focus in this premium group, so the website that performs the best, again, are the ones that have 50% or more of ROI and 20 or more of score. So as we can see, also, there's a third variable that is amount of impressions. So what happens here is that when we have really high ROI, like going to 3,000, we don't have a high score, and also we have lower amount of impressions. which also makes sense because the investment in that website is lower, so in the profitability is not that high. And in a score, when you have a really high score, we have low, not so high ROI, but huge amount of impressions. So again, this means that we are buying a lot amount, so we have, and they are buying, we are buying it at a good price, so we have a lot of revenue from that. But what we also can see, if we don't have like this area, is like there are no websites here, like really high score and really high ROI. This is just for the month of February, but to have a picture. So in order to further understand this, what I did was to focus on even the best of the best websites. So a higher ROI and a higher score. And I did a machine learning algorithm in order to make subgroups of this. To take into account the ROI, the profitability or score, and the amount of impressions we buy. So here, most of them have, these are really all good performing websites, but they have like not so high ROI and not so high score in comparison to the ones we could have. So these ones here have a really high score and like a ROI that is really okay. Also, that it's in most cases it's better than the most of this group. And also here we have a lot of impressions, like huge amount of impressions. This group here, we have really high ROI, really high score, but the amount of impression is intermediate. And this one, that is the only one. Number one is because it's really huge amount of impressions. We bought like more than 100 million, and really and ROI of 70%. So in comparison, the ratio is not that good. And I leave it like this. I think this was a good criteria in order to relate all this data, because this happens in this industry that sometimes you have like a website that really are apart from the rest in terms of performance. So going on, if we see verticals, this is the total data set. So we have all the verticals we work with. Most of them are news and media. This is because in the website where they are the most kind there is, and also they are easier to find. In order to work with the websites, we find every buying team find them manually. So well, that's taking a lot of time, and basically that. So if we see the premium subgroups I was telling you about, we see that there's all the categories are here. There's no category that is not here, so that's not really a relevant variable to see. But yes, there are verticals that perform better than others. So finance, e-commerce, arts and entertainment. This is all the areas of operation. We work worldwide. Mostly in Spain because we are Barcelona based, Italy, and United States. So here, if we compare the best premium subgroups 1, 2, and 3, we see that mainly is in Europe and United States, but also here is one in Vietnam. If we compare to the countries we are losing money here, we see that, for instance, Sweden and Finland are only here in this group. They are not in the intermediate group or the other groups that I'm not showing together. So, and also Canada. So, well, not always like the high income countries are the ones that we earn money with. So to summary, there is a high correlation between the score, the profitability, and the amount of impressions we buy. Where best websites to work with are the ones with high ROI, high score, and not so high impressions. And the verticals, finance, e-commerce, and education, arts and entertainment, and not always the high-income countries are the work with. And that's, I hope I wasn't speaking too fast.
No,
Yeah.
amazing job, Paula. Amazing. Thank you. So, question? I'm sure Idoia has a question.
Yes, great presentations, pretty cool. First of all, you were dealing also with data coming from the company which you are working with. So how was the data cleaning? Was it smooth, or was it a little bit hard, or?
No, it was a little bit hard because I work with different sources,
Nice.
and also I have to preserve like sensitive information. So, but yes, no, I like working with it because it's on my daily basis. So, in order to continue understanding what we do, how we can improve, and what strategies we can make, and all that.
No, but you got a really good representation because it was 890 something different websites, so it's not that bad, eh? So it's a really good starting point, let's say. For sure that maybe you have more or blah, 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 but I mean, it's not that bad, eh? So it's a really good representation. More things. So regarding the different groups that you were creating, no, the premium and the low performance, you were using the scores and so on, but did you try to do the customer segmentation? So that's one thing that I think that you saw on customer segmentation, so using more than maybe 2 variables, etc. Just for curiosity, eh?
No, I use the ones that were here
because maybe one strategy that you can consider is to use K-means or DB-scan in order to build this customer segmentation, so the different labels among the different clients, and try to label them in function of premium, or normally it's called gold, bronze, and silver. So use that data, the different variables, not only the score and the ROI, the other variables that you have, in order to get those labels. Maybe you can get other insights. My suggestion.
Yes. My idea is to do it like as a next step, but for now it was
I know. No, this is just one suggestion.
No, but I'm really interested and keen on like continue working. So thanks for the suggestion.
Of course, and another thing that you can do also, I know that you are like really good at Tableau, so create a dashboard with the insights that you got out of Python. You know, do the data cleaning with Python, and then extract the CSV files and build your dashboard in order to use it with new websites, etc.
Yes, I have to do that as well.
Homework. No, but really well presented, and really nice to see also like data coming from real companies and so on. It's not. I know that it's not that easy. Yeah?
It was really a challenge.
Yes, I know.
What to say it also, and how to present it, but I wanted to work with real data, so well, I made the effort.
Yes, I know that it's hard. That's why I'm like getting all the time and repeating over and over, because it's not hard. It's not easy to work with real data coming from companies. So congratulations, you too. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Paula. So we have the last but not least. Thank you for those who are still with us here on a Friday night. So, Julia?
Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Julia, and today I would be presenting to you analysis of fraudulent activity in e-commerce. I've been working as an analyst for more than 2 years now, and I've been working in fraud analysis for approximately 2 years, so I think this is a very interesting topic to cover. Why is this important? To begin with, I think it's like it would be really interesting to say why is it so important, especially nowadays. So first of all, it's fraud analysis and fraud detection is important because of brand reputation. Among victims of credit card fraud, more than one in four, like approximately 29%, blame the merchant that approved the fraudulent purchase. The second thing is the chargebacks. Chargebacks is basically the revenue loss, so it's the obvious cost of the fraud. So you will lose your money. And the third one is client loss. Approximately 49% of customers reported that they do not return to an online retailer after a fraud incident has taken place. So this means that the merchant will pay the cost of the fraud, like the chargebacks, plus they will lose future customers. So the aim of this analysis is to review fraudulent transactions and identify suspicious trends and patterns, implement the results of the analysis for risk score evaluation of new users and transactions, and update in this existing risk assessment procedure. Because in most companies, fraud is identified only after it occurs. Measures then are implemented to prevent it from happening again, but ideally business want to find the ways to prevent fraud from taking place, or if that's not possible, to detect it before significant damage is done. So this updating score evaluation procedures would be really important for this. Just before we start reviewing the analysis, it is important to understand what is fraud. So in e-commerce, there are different types of fraud. The most popular ones are promotion abuse, affiliate fraud, reshipping fraud, account takeover, friendly fraud, and identity theft. Today we will focus mainly on identity theft, which is when the fraudster buys or steals sensitive personal information to buy goods online. So dataset overview. My analysis focuses on transactional information from different e-commerce sites. The data contains information about US transactions only. They are performed within the last 7 months, from June to December. The information consists of 3 big groups of it can be divided into 3 big groups. The first one would be customer demographic data, transactional information, and additional information. So, for example, like merchant or category of the merchant or of the economic sector. So let's start with the analysis. Here we have the general overview of transactions in our dataset. So in the dataset, the majority of the transactions are not fraudulent, so there are only 0.4% of fraudulent transactions. However, our main point, our main focus of analysis will be on this 0.4% of transactions. Here we can see gender distribution. So there are more transactions made by female customers, 54.6%, than by male customers, so 44.9%. Therefore, when we look at the proportional distribution of fraudulent transactions, there are more fraudulent transactions coming from female customers than from male. The difference is not big, however, we can still see it. As for age distribution, we can see several age groups and several age groups that are more tend to perform fraudulent transactions. So for male customers, those would be 18-20 years. Here we can see clearly this group of people. 30-39 years. So it would be here. 50-59 years and 70-79 years. For female customers, the two most outstanding groups are 20-39 years. So we can see it here. 49 years and 89 years. So here we can clearly see that if we compare the distribution between non-fraudulent and fraudulent transactions, these groups are clearly visible. Fraud distribution for during the time. So as it was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the fraud we have the information about the transactions from August till from August till December. However, we can see that there were some spikes in August and October in fraudulent transactions. Even though we can identify these spikes, this data is not enough to clearly state that most of fraud happens in August and October. In order to draw important conclusions or something more significant, we would have to look at least for 1 year data, for 1 full year. As for the distribution of fraud per time, like during the day, we can clearly see that there is more fraudulent activity during the night. And this clearly proves that cyber criminals never sleep. So that's why nor should fraud prevention sleep. As for geographic location, we can clearly see that the majority of fraudulent transactions here are coming from 3 different states, which are Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania. In terms of cities, here I analyzed the fraudulent activity in the cities from these 3 states, and it was possible to identify the most fraudulent cities. Here we can see the analysis of the value spent on fraudulent, the money value spent on fraudulent transactions and non-fraudulent transactions. As we can see that the money spent on non-fraudulent transactions, the sum of money varies greatly. And for non-fraudulent transactions, they are mainly vary from 0 to 1,200, let's say, dollars. The majority of fraudulent transactions are of low value, so approximately from let's say from 0 to $50. As per economic sector, we can see that the most the sectors that are at risk are shopping net, grocery point of sales, miscellaneous net, and shopping point of sales. So here we can also see how much money the fraudsters spent in these different categories. So as you can see that, for example, for shopping net, there is a lot of fraud, and fraudsters spend a lot of money in this category. However, for example, grocery point of sales, there is a lot of fraudulent transactions, but much less money is spent there. And here we have a summary of what should be considered for risk score, let's say, risk score evaluation procedure. So in the process of assessing risk score, it is important to pay attention to risk allocation, economic sector, and transaction time. And as secondary identifiers of fraud that should be taken into account only if at least one of the last 2 key points is spotted: customer within the risky age range per gender and amount of transactions. And that's it. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Amazing.
Well done, Julia. Super nice, the insights that you got, and super useful, I would say, for any company. So you were focusing the attention on some e-commerce, no? If I'm not wrong, it was just e-commerce, right?
Yes, it was just e-commerce, different e-commerce from different economic sectors.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, but I mean, it's super interesting for any company, I would say, no? I would say for maybe, I don't know, not only e-commerce or people that are, but also for different banks and so on, as you were telling, kindly at the very beginning and right now. And I have one question regarding the data set. So you took the data set from any website, maybe, and I have one question. Was it balanced in terms of gender? So was it did you have a good representation in terms of male and females?
Yes. 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 There were more female transactions, but in most cases, those were for, let's say, grocery shopping. Like as we have seen here,
Yes.
I had like different categories like food dining,
Yeah.
grocery. So in most cases, there were
Mhm.
more female customers, and in general, there were more female customers for
Vale.
the whole data set.
Cool. No, because I mean the insights that you got were pretty nice, and I was wondering whether if it was kind of balanced. Okay, yeah, you can see that maybe it was a little bit imbalanced, but I mean at least you have a good representation of both genders, no?
Yes.
And another question: would you mind explaining to me what does it mean? Which is the difference between? Sorry, it's because of curiosity. Yeah, shopping net and shopping pos, because.
So shopping net is just shopping in the shops that do not have physical shops at all, that it's just like internet shop. And shopping pos, it's like point of sale, so it actually has the physical shop as well.
Okay, so they have both, no?
Yes.
The physical shop and the e-commerce. Vale, okay, cool. Because I was having a look at the labels and I was like, I'm not able to understand what do they mean. Because I was, having a look at this one, no? Shopping net, it's kind of like really high in terms of fraudulent transaction, but this is like shopping pos. It was not that like high, and I was like, I didn't understand. Vale, cool. Yes, pretty nice. I really like it, and I think that it could be also really extra. So you can like also expand those insights in any company. So I encourage you also to write towards data science or something, no? Because I think it's also interesting for any company, I would say. So congratulations on that too. And it was really well presented.
Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies, so I have to congratulate you all. I'm super proud of all the projects. This was amazing and super impressive with all the work that you have and all the content, all the lessons that you have learned in just 10 weeks. Like, wow, it's amazing. And also for this showed your commitment, your passion, your motivation for the course. I remember when we start like 10 weeks ago, like you was a little bit nervous and asking, like, downloading all the software with Idoia, and now you see all this work. I'm super proud. And also I want to thank Giovanna for her passion, her commitment, and motivation during these 10 weeks. It's an amazing course. I remember we did the product review. I want to share this because it's just great for Idoia, that is the content lead, for Giovanna, the instructor, that this is the course, Data Analytics, that has only positive feedback during the 10 weeks in all the retrospectives, which I review every Monday. So I was impressed. Like, I have to talk for every course, and when I was talking about data analytics, was okay, it's just amazing, it's working super well, so we are super happy for that. So the journey just start. This is not the end, so I hope you can work on your projects, your portfolio. Remember that you have the hiring in June. So we have more for you, a career workshop for your LinkedIn, cover letter, etc. So I hope you can continue being classmates, friends, because this is just the beginning. I don't know if Giovanna wants to say something.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. No, I want to say that I know that some of you still want to continue working on your current data sets. So I just wanted to say, feel free if you're working on them, feel free to reach out on Slack. I'm here for, whatever else you're working on. So don't be strangers. Add me on LinkedIn, and we can keep in touch. And obviously, have me on Slack for more detailed stuff. But it was a lot of fun working with you. It was a pleasure teaching such a hardworking group. It makes all the difference. For me, also teaching, because I'm motivated if you are working and pulling so hard, and I think that was also pulling me throughout these weeks. So thank you. It was awesome. Really enjoyed it.
Nice. Ladies, you want to share some thought with us after 10 weeks of hard work?
No,
Okay.
thank you very much. No, having great. I mean, for me has been super nice to learn that. The time flies, right? Was super intense, but also it's like Dan, I want more. So I will for sure connect with you all because I really need to keep doing this. But yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and also the environment you create, right? Not the Anaconda one, right? With the class, right? It's really nice, right? You create really a community. So congratulations for that. Also, I think it's a really added value for this course.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure. I just want to say thank you to Microphone.
Always the microphone. To Idoia and Giovanna, because they are super cool and they motivate us so much. So yeah, was great. And also to Raquel, I have to say, because she was my partner the whole course. So I mean, was really easy to work with somebody with the same problems and the same feelings, and yeah, I like it so much. Thank you.
That's good.
Yes, keep on doing like this. Keep on doing like this with this motivation because, well, the motivation, your intelligence, and everything will make you shine. So keep on doing like this. Don't forget about this. Don't be afraid about anything. You can do whatever you want. Whatever. This is the beginning of something really beautiful. It's pretty cool to see your final projects and see the evolution because I left you like on the second week, no? So it was on the second module or which was? Yes, module 1 and module 2. So you were like starting with pandas, and I remember how long it was like for you to deal with these Olympic games or exercise or the one with the Pokemons. You were like, and now with this final project, well, I'm super impressed. So congratulations and keep on doing like that. Okay. And well, I'm like Giovanna, if you need something from my side, I will be also really happy to help. So feel free to contact me as well. Don't be scared because this is a community. It's not like, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready, ciao.
Yep.
Exactly, right. So we're here, we have our contacts, happy to chat about anything, right? It doesn't need to be like messaging. We can meet, discuss, work on stuff together. So feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Girls, I'm going to be sending you next week your certificate and also more information about the content. You will have access to that like for a long time. So no worries. I will be sending you all of this next week because now it's kind of late, but I have it ready for you for Monday, I swear.
Cool.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yes,
Ya está, ya pasó. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy next week because you deserve it,
Yeah, you definitely deserve a break. So
yes,
now
please.
go.
Absolutely. Don't open Jupiter this weekend, please. Promise.
Thank
Zero.
you.
Thank you.
I'll open my bottle of Prosecco now.
Oh, very nice.
Nice.
That's the spirit.
I agree.
And thank you to all the ones that connect and see this amazing work from the ladies. And please, if you need more information about our courses, so go to our website and you will find there everything. Bye, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Have a good
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.